Good evening. I'm Sister Catherine Ryan from Maryville Academy, and this is our edition of Maryville Connects. I am delighted today to be welcoming Chris Thomas, and I'm going to tell you more about him, or he's going to tell you more about him in just a couple moments. But to introduce this, I think it would be fair to say that we all care what happens to our children. Certainly at Maryville, we are a child care organization, and everyone, parents, brothers and sisters, extended family, neighbors, members of faith communities, members of clubs, we look upon our youth as our future, of course, and we want to make sure that they have a safe and, I want to say exciting, opportunity to develop to the persons whom they're meant to be, and so that they can carry our society into the future. Now, how do we do that? Well, our guest tonight is Chris Thomas. I'm going to ask you, Chris, you are here for Your Passion First, an organization you founded. So would you tell us just briefly about the organization, and then I want to get into who you are and how you came to this, and then we'll come back to your organization.
Yeah.
So, Your Passion First.
Sister, first of all, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. It's always a blessing when we get to share more with the world about the work that we're doing and the youth out there that we want to impact. We've been around, this is our 6th year. We are a youth empowerment platform that inspires young adults to find, define, and follow their passion into the workforce or entrepreneurship. The way that we do that is through a number of different ways, but at its core, it's connecting youth to opportunities in their area of passion, ranging from mentors and mental health coaching all the way to project-based learning experiences as well as job opportunities.
Okay, now we're going to get into that some more, but I want our viewers first to know why you know what you're talking about. So would you talk a little bit about your own background?
Yes, absolutely. One thing I always caveat by saying I don't have answers. I have solutions. I think there's a lot of ways to get to solving challenge. And so I don't ever claim to have all the answers or even the right answers. I do claim to have had a lot of experiences, some of which weren't the best, but even through failure, I've learned how to build resiliency. And so the work that we do is focused on that, is building that resiliency in these youth. That's something that I think I struggled with moving around a lot, born on the south side, but I grew up in the suburbs and moved to different suburbs, grew up in an interracial household. Both my parents were black, but my stepdad was white. So I always found myself in these rooms of trying to connect with opportunities and people, but something was off, and I think that having that community center feel for young adults, we have to bring that back to community. We have to bring it back to school. And how do we connect all of those dots so youth can't feel like, hey, safe space isn't just in my home or at my school, but my whole community should be a safe space. So.
Well said, of course. So, Chris, you mentioned that you moved around a lot. Where did you go to school?
Yeah, so I was born on the south side, then I moved to Michigan, then I moved to Cleveland, then I moved back to Oak Park in 5th grade.
Okay.
I think before that was like St. Catherine and St. Michael. In 5th grade, I went to homeschool, then I went to St. Edmunds. 5th and 6th grade was my only public school that I had in all my career, my schooling. And then I went to Fenwick, graduated from Fenwick, went away to John Carroll in Cleveland for a year and a half, didn't do so well. Went to the Marines, military police officer, then got out of the Marines, got into some trouble here and there, trying to find my way, and ended up going back to school, getting my degree in 2010 from Northeastern Illinois University with a degree in adolescent psychology, minor in philosophy and Spanish.
So that's quite a journey right there for anyone who's watching. So, Chris, obviously, you've experienced a lot. I'm sure the Marines were a formative experience. I'm sure that your time in the other experiences you mentioned, but going to school for your degree, you clearly had a focus. And then you came out of college with that degree, Northeastern, and then what?
You know, just I'm very transparent. That time frame from getting out of the Marines from 2002 to 2010 was a really difficult mental time for me in terms of trying to discover who I was, what impact I wanted to have. Got into drugs, alcohol, got arrested a couple of times, and I wanted to work with youth right after my degree. Unfortunately, took me about a year and a half to find even something to work based on facing a DUI, a possession of marijuana charge. And so I got into HR recruiting, had a good friend that was working in that space and almost wasn't going to get hired. And I said, hey, listen, I'll work for free. I'll work on commission only. Let me come in and show you what I could do. In that time frame from 2010 to 2015, I went from sitting as an admin at the front desk and then like helping them grow their largest year, $1.8 million book of business, open an office in San Diego. But there was something still missing. I wasn't happy. I wasn't doing the thing that I loved. And so I ended up leaving. I went to a larger recruiting firm, but I had an opportunity to do more volunteering within the workforce development space. So that pivot of volunteering got me a number of opportunities in that space to volunteer more, but eventually I got offered an opportunity with the owner of the Chicago Sky, Michael Alter, and then Leo Sheridan from Advanced Group to help start a mentoring and coaching-based staffing firm. And then through that, ended up tailing off to create what is now Your Passion First.
Okay. So here we are, Your Passion First. And when did you start that?
We started it in 2019, November, and we started our first cohort of 9 young adults in 2020, just a month into the pandemic.
Okay. And you say we. Who else was helping you?
So I say we because, anything, you need a team. Nothing you can do alone. And so while I'm the founder, I've had some really impactful and good friends in my life that have helped me along the way. Joe Natal is one of my business partners with our consulting firm. Julia Spates is along with us with both the consulting firm and the nonprofit. And then we have a number of volunteers, some of which have been with us from day one, that either sit on our board or our advisory board. And then we always have new volunteers coming in. Probably have about 40 volunteers right now in total, and then we have 5 paid employees.
Okay, so Your Passion First, what's the age group you work with?
So we have a couple different programs, but overall 11 to 24. Okay. We have an ambassador program, which is 14 to 24 because there's an intense focus on starting a business or getting a job, and legal age is 14 with a permit. And then we have a community lighthouse program where we do mentorship with schools, churches, and libraries, and we go as low as 11 there. Kids even that age are starting to think about, new shoes, new clothes, hanging out with their friends. So we do want to start to teach them what value looks like, what saving looks like, things of that nature.
How do the children find you?
Any social media, you can find us at Your Passion First. So that's Your Passion, the number 1, ST. That community lighthouse program, I call it our feeder program, if you will, because a lot of those youth end up going into our ambassador program. You got to go where the kids are.
That's right.
The kids aren't necessarily going to come to you. So just trying to meet them out, going out to parks, setting up different events that are youth focused, setting up tables, and just being there in the community.
So a young person becomes part of your program, which I presume means that there's connection with the family as well.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Yeah, so we have the couple programs, right? The 3 ways of looking at it. There's our festival series that I didn't mention yet. There's our community lighthouse program that's schools, churches, and libraries. Our ambassador program is the one where we would connect with parents. It's pretty intense. There's one-on-one and group mentorship. And so there's an initial connection with the young adults. Then they have to level up. Once they get to a certain level, then we start to loop in the parents. A lot of our programming is done in public spaces, at libraries, so kids are free to come as they go. And then when we have these different outings and excursions, obviously permission slips are required and consent forms.
I think that's really important for our viewers to know that Chris and his team are offering this in a way that the children are safe, or the young people are safe, and they've got adults who are teaching them positive values or reinforcing the positive values that parents are already offering in the home.
Yeah, and I would just say to any parents out there listening in, first of all, parenting is tough, and there is no magic key for it, no golden ticket. As youth, we can tune our parents out, right? Like the tone, all the things is just in one ear and out the other. And I was one of those kids, and my mom's my best friend now, but I thank her every day for those things are finally starting to click now. So had she not done that, they may not be clicking. And so don't feel bad as a parent that things aren't clicking, but find other means where they will click, right? Know what your kid likes, what motivates them, so that you can put them in those environments around role models that look like them, that sound like them. We can't do it all, parents. That's what community's for.
Okay, now you speak from experience, don't you? Are you a parent?
I try. I am. I have 2 kids, and I am second from the top of 9 brothers and sisters.
Okay.
So always had younger siblings, and then I have a 12-year-old who's in 6th grade, and then I have a daughter who will be 2 this September.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So when you were talking about some of the activities,
And my beautiful queen, Miss Roberta Bernice. Can't
okay.
forget to mention her.
All right.
All right.
So, Chris, when you were talking about you have different kinds of activities, you mentioned festivals. Would you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. We host a festival series, some of which we either host or co-host, or some of which we partner with other organizations on. And so those are opportunities for youth to not only just come out, have fun, meet other youth, meet potential mentors, but really showcase their talents. So whether it be setting up a business at a table, if you're a singer or you're a performer, really having that showcase or that platform to come and showcase your talents on is really important for the work that we do. That project-based kind of learning, experiential learning, I think, is huge. So
you have a festival somewhere?
Yeah, we
Where
have
have you had
actually. June 8th is going to be our first one this year. It will be our 6th annual Holistic Wellness Festival and Juneteenth celebration.
Okay.
It's at Proviso East from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Free event. All families are welcome. Bring your lawn chair, bring your blankets. We have a Best of the West challenge that will include going through an obstacle course, a football toss. There's like a wheelbarrow race where someone holds your legs and you're like trying to scramble. So some fun things that I think will be good for anybody looking to have a wellness day or do a volunteer day with your team. That's always a fun time. We got some of the youth coming out to perform. A lot of good vendors. We normally have between 50 and 60 vendors, food vendors. So, yeah, it's June 8th. It's a Sunday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Okay, so festival is one thing you do with the young people. And you're talking about projects and young people learning how, did I hear you say starting a business?
Absolutely.
And so how would you do that with a young person?
Yeah, so I have a few of our young adults that have started businesses. There's a lot of ways that we do it. One thing I always try and start with is a young adult knowing what their vision is, right? And I think I see a lot of people try and start businesses haphazardly,
Sure.
without really, really seeing and tasting what that vision is. And before you create goals or projects or anything, you got to be aligned on what that vision is and see it very tangibly. Then from there, I think you can create some, as they say, smart goals to really break that down of what are some measurable things that you can do that will show achievement for you. From there, ChatGPT. It's easy, right? Not easy, but you create a strategy, and that's something that because of AI these days, that is the easy part, right? The hard part is the discipline, the consistency, and then the relationship building. because you can have a skill all day. If you can't go and build the right relationships with the right people, then no plan is going to come together. So just try to teach them that, document it, walk through the process. We have some partners that will help them get their LLC, things like that.
So you mentioned discipline, which is, of course, not usually something that young people want to hear about. Maybe not even adults want to hear about it. But we know that it's essential to really accomplishing goals. How do you go about presenting that to young people and motivating them to follow a disciplined approach?
It's hard. It's hard, as you mentioned, even for older people. I always say there's been 3 secrets for me that have helped me in my life and in my career. Passion is one of them, and knowing your passion. Having faith in something. Everyone doesn't believe in God, but you got to believe that we're connected in some way, shape, and form on this earth. And then discipline. You have to have discipline of mind, body, and spirit to do what you say you're going to do and be where you say you're going to be. Some of the things that have helped me to maintain my discipline is my workout regimen. You know, I ran a 5K today. I try and run 3-4 times a week. I try and work out. And I don't like working out. I like, looking good, taking my shirt off and not feeling flabby or anything, but I don't like the actual act of waking up early and doing it. I like the result of how I feel. And I think we have to, even our school systems, have to teach youth that life sucks sometimes, but it's not that feeling of when you're doing it, I don't want to do it. It's yeah, that sucks, but how do you want to feel after it? And you think very short-sighted. I think people are trained to think oh, pinch me, it hurt. Give me a hug, it felt good. That's very immediate. But pinch me 10 times, and on the 11th time I wake up into a dream, right? Those 10 times hurt, but they got me to open my eyes clear enough to be oh, now I get it. And I think we are not taught that failure, that pinching is the thing. If you're aligned to that vision, that is the thing that will get you to that other side. And then guess what? You're going to level up again. Then it's going to get hard. And then you're going to have happiness for another week. And then you're going to kind of go through these levels. So.
And when you're working with young people, you're helping them focus on their goals, which often is what we need in order to be able to say, I can sacrifice this because this is where I want to be. Another area, though, that you help our young folks with is in art and music, right?
Absolutely.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm actually very excited about a project that we have coming up in partnership with a few organizations, Taproots, Earth Remedies, Community Leadership Fellows, Antidote. I believe Antidote and Taproots are the lead on it. But this project started 2.5 years ago. Someone in the community came up to me, and again, we are a workforce development, mental health, entrepreneurship org. So that spans a few industries. We started out art, music, entertainment, sports and wellness, and then culinary and nutrition. But now we service, we try and connect kids to any opportunities. That's still our core. And so this project started out a couple years ago, someone saying, hey, we want to do an art project in the community. In partnership with block clubs. And so what we did is we partnered with Antidote. There were 12 blocks across the city of Chicago that did listening sessions in their block to try and improve their block, do a block party and all that. But then we created these palettes almost, that were a depiction of what they wanted to see in their community on it. So we painted 12 of those, went out, put them up, did an art walk. So what that has turned into is another series of projects. Now we're doing a large mural that will be across from the new Aspire Center, which is on Madison and Central. And it's in partnership with ACT Yoga, Marshawn Feltis. So we're really excited about that. That's one. We didn't get to do an art project last summer. So we're excited to have this one come into this year. And then we'll start with a series of listening sessions in May for that. I think 2 listening sessions. Then we'll start painting hopefully June.
So someone has to know how to paint to help the young people, right?
Absolutely.
And where do you find this talent to help with the teaching?
Yeah, so we find it with our community partners.
Okay.
Antidote has been an amazing art community partner. Paint the City has been another one. Those are probably our top two
Okay.
art community partners. We have partnered with Dwight White, with Ramon Static, who are two very well-known artists here in Chicago. And so just finding that partnership, that's what these kids need. It's not always just hey, be my mentor. It's like, let's bond over something that we both like, have a coffee cooler moment, right? Where we're just chopping it up, talking about life. And within those, some of the most beautiful relationships are built. Yeah.
How about music?
So all of our events have tons of music, tons of local artists that are looking to, just get their name out there. Zion Ali is one of the young adults that's been kind of blowing up here in Chicago. So he's been at our pitch competition a couple times. Him and Marshall are in our planning committee for this year's pitch competition, which will be in November. Obviously, our Holistic Wellness Festival, our headliner is Coda the Friend. So he's pretty well known, really making a name for himself, local artist, but traveling international now. So
You also are helping young people with sports?
yeah, so I have a young adult right now that is in college playing basketball. Just a lot of that is discipline, right?
Yes.
And the networking and the right people to connect with, staying on it. Are you going to the right camps? What are they saying? I'm not his manager. I'm his friend. I'm his mentor. But making sure that you have just a set of ears, right, to throw things against. I don't have the answers, but I know people that have gone pro. And if I can make that connection for him, which I have, I think that's a beautiful thing.
And then you mentioned entertainment.
Yeah, everything is entertainment, right? As we sit here, this amazing studio. Shout out to Can TV. Shout out to Amani in the house
Yes.
for holding it down and showing us the ropes over here. But, production, I think that anything in marketing right now is entertainment, because in order to move people, you have to move the heart and move emotions.
That's true.
And
That's true.
all of that is really just wrapped into how we entertain people and how we want to be entertained.
And then you also do culinary?
I have a good
How
friend.
do you do that? You got all these talents, expertises coming.
I wish I could say I am expert in any of those. I'm not. We are really a connector, is what I consider. We are building an app. We just finished pre-development phase, so we're going into development to connect more youth to opportunities in their area of passion. In the culinary space, I have a partner that just asked me, hey, I'm going to be hiring youth right away. I got our 2 youth that are interested in culinary. They'll connect. Hopefully it'll turn into something. But again, just making sure that these youth have access to the opportunities. And the opportunities are there. A lot of times the relationship is what's missing, is the gap.
True.
So how can we teach the youth how to build better relationships with themselves internally, right, and know their value, but then turn that value into community impact, and that's the work.
So Chris is talking about Your Passion First and the work that he and more volunteers are doing with our young people. And Chris, I guess we have 1 minute left. Is there something brief that you want to say as a closing message to our community?
Kids, keep trying, right? Figure out who you are inside, what it is you're meant to be on this earth, and lean on people, right? Rip that guard down, rip that armor off that you're trying to feel like you got it all, know it all, because we don't, even as adults. We don't have it all. We are still, most of us, still trying to figure it out. And so lean on a young adult. If you don't know what your passion is, man, come to me. I'm definitely willing to help. We are on all social media platforms. If you go to the link in our Instagram bio, I believe you can even find my personal contact info. Chris at yourpassionfirst.com. That's yourpassion, the number 1, st.com. My cell, text me, call me, 773-904-6814 if I can support in any way. Our website's www.yourpassionfirst.com. That's your passion, the number 1, st. And as I always say, in order to achieve your dreams, you got to follow your passion first. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Chris Thomas, for talking to us about how to help our young people so that they can have a better future. Really grateful that you took the time to come on. And I want to give a shout out to Amani too, because you don't see her, but Amani is the one who makes it possible for us to be talking with you today.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope to see y'all out.